end of the day. We're so happy, following the blues. We love you, what more can we say? Let's see you in the cup, singing our song, helping and sharing the load. It's worth the pointed roll when we sing together. We're there at the end of the road. We are the lads from the Tilton. We'll support you till the end of the day. We're so happy, following the blues. We love you.
Well, another weekend which sees yet another international break, so no football to talk of, apart from England's mighty 2-0 win over Malta. Looks like Captain Rooney's on the bench for tomorrow. Me personally, I still think he should hang up his international boots, just a solitary week away from D-Day. Yes, that's deliverance from the evil clutches of sullied and betrayed our beautiful football club. Hopefully next week we should be in a position to talk about freedom and the next steps in our ever-continuing saga. This is, of course, the month of the big one, as Blues capacity is capped at 25,000, and we hopefully entertain the comedy show from up the road. However, do they possibly have an escape route with one of our one-time players and manager in Brucey, or is that club just going through too much of a toxic period? Whichever way it is, it's still going to be a noisy one. Special guest online tonight, answering your questions and giving us an insight into his career, not only with Blues, but also within the boxing circles, is the one and only Curtis Woodhouse. So it's Forest up next at the City Ground, and another sellout for a Blues away day. This could be just the best ever month in the life of a Blue Nose. So strap yourselves in once more and let's get ready for the ride on Monday night's 5th season on the Tilton Talk Show. Good evening, Mr. Brown.
Good evening.
And good evening, Mr. Pugh.
Good evening.
Not very well, are you, mate?
I apologise for my voice.
Oh,
I'll try my best to struggle through it.
how's the fan club been this week?
Not too bad.
Yeah?
Growing in numbers.
Growing in numbers. How many is it now? 3?
Yeah. One dropped out though, so...
One dropped out, so it's down to 2.
Back down to 2.
Back down to 2, there you go. Who dropped out?
We've got to keep going, haven't we?
You struggle on, journey on.
That's it.
Tired and weary and all that, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Certainly tired and weary tonight.
Oh, golly. Right, a little bit later on in the show, guys, Curtis Woodhouse will be joining us on the line, and we got some wacky and wild and wonderful stories. I'm sure he'll elaborate more on those as we go through the evening show. Forest up next for us on Friday night. A sellout, which is, again, credible.
Yeah.
Another wonderful achievement for us, really. Our away support is absolutely magnificent. It could be a banana skin, but I don't know. Forest, they've not done brilliantly this year, have they?
No, I think I mentioned on last week's show they're the league's entertainers this season. They score a lot of goals, but they're also conceding a lot. I think they've already won 4-3 twice at home this season. So they are a team that likes to attack, but you know, obviously naturally that leaves a lot of gaps behind as well. We're a side that likes to keep things tight, so it'll be interesting to see how it goes there. You know, I think we'll go there trying to stop them, but obviously, you know, with our ability on the counter attack, hopefully get the early goal and they've got to come at us then.
Yeah, I think that's one thing we've got to rely on Friday is the counter attack. That's our speciality mover, so to speak.
Especially away from home.
Yeah, very much so.
It's definitely our trump card. So.
Okay, looking forward to that one. Not going to the game myself because it's not only live on Sky, but also have to work on a Friday night, so I'll get back in time.
It's my brother's stag weekend.
Stag weekend, where are you going?
Liverpool.
Ah, so you were going to go to Liverpool, then down to Nottingham, and then back up to Liverpool.
That was the plan.
That was the plan.
Yeah, but that's not happening now. Obviously.
Is that because of the cold?
Well, no. It's obviously the sellout as well. So we couldn't get tickets anyway. But I think, you know, a trip up to Nottingham on a Friday night is quite appealing to away supporters, sort of thing. So you can see why it's sold out. I think Burton will be the same next week as well. So
Definitely.
Okay, right, on the Tilton Talk Show, we always bring these things forward to the very front. The Tilton Talk Show would like to pay respects to Gary Benson. Gary was a lifelong Blue Nose who sadly lost his battle with bowel cancer last Friday. The club will be putting a picture up on the big screen on the 50th minute against B6. Please help make this happen. I should imagine that's for a minute's round of applause for a wonderful human being who, though tired and weary, always kept right on. As always, our thoughts are with Gary's family and friends at this difficult time. Never nice, never nice, never nice. But yeah, I'm sure we'll make that happen on 50 minutes. It's going around on social media now, so...
in that game as well,
yes,
it's quite
with the
pivotal thing.
There's also thoughts on a 7-minute round of applause for a young Villa fan who sadly lost his life a couple of weeks ago, and I hope that we respect that one as well, because like sometimes you've got to put football aside when it's nearest and dearest, so to speak. Agreed. Hey ho. Right, okay, so looking forward to Curtis's phone call. I haven't got a clue what he's going to come out with, but the work on him today is...
Is it now the right time to put in a disclaimer that, everything he does say is not a representation of SRB Radio?
I think you've just covered that one, Mr. Brown. Quite adequately. All right, you can get us on www.srbradio.com, or you can get us on any of the Facebook live feeds. Yep. Please keep your questions coming in. Keep them sensible. And you can ask questions on there, on Twitter, on the Tilton Talk page. We do try to monitor everything that's going on, and on the shout box as well at the same time. So I think we've got Curtis on at 8, haven't we, Chris?
8 o'clock, yeah.
8 o'clock, all right then. Yeah. Any news from the ladies this week, Christopher?
No, quiet. We don't play until, I think it's towards the end of the month, so... Ellie Brazil and Connie Schofield are currently with England under-17s.
Yep.
And they've qualified for the quarter-final of the World Cup, the under-17 World Cup.
Brilliant.
They'll play Japan at some point this week. They had to beat Brazil in their last group game, and they were 1-0 down and came back to win 2-1, so got them through to the quarter-finals. They've played quite a key role as well. I think they've started every game, Ellie and Connie, so they're representing us well with England at the moment. So just two league games left for Blues ladies. So
yep, and then off for the well-deserved break.
Yep.
Okay, thanks for that, Kidder. Super 6 this week, Mister. What happened?
Just before we go to Super 6, can I just, because this shape box really shoots really quickly, so I need to just catch up quickly. I'll go through the first few now. Kevin Kelly, wish the home sport was as solid as the away. Good evening, Chris. Must be one of your fans.
Must be you.
Alison,
yeah. Is that one of your fan clubs?
That's one of the two,
Yeah.
Okay. Kevin will take a 1-0 win against Forest. Snowy Moore, evening all you Blue Noses. Are we welcoming Bruce back with cheers or boos?
Well, that's one of the...
Touch on that later.
Yeah, touch on that one in a bit, yeah.
How do you think if Bruce gets the job at Villa, how will it go down at the Derby? We'll talk about that later, shall we?
Well, I'll look forward to that.
Good stuff.
All right, international break then. So we're going to talk about the England setup for a couple of minutes and that wonderful 2-0 win against Malta. And Mr. Fun is already smiling because he knows exactly what's coming. Wayne Rooney's been dropped tomorrow onto the bench, and Jordan Henderson's taken over as captain.
Yep.
There was a press conference this afternoon, and in that press conference was Gareth Southgate and Wayne Rooney. Not Jordan Henderson, the captain. Don't you think Jordan Henderson should have been there?
I think Wayne Rooney's the captain.
Well, he's dropped tomorrow as captain.
I think you'll find Wayne Rooney.
He's the overall
England
captain, isn't he?
Yeah. We believe you.
Do you think
therefore, if the manager and the captain are put forward for the interview,
do you think he should?
Then the manager and the captain will be put forward for the interview.
He's so very pedantic, isn't he, Chris? Love it. Do you think he should be captain?
Wayne Rooney?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think it's wise to drop him tomorrow? Because he will come on inevitably at some point, I dare say.
If it was me, I would have probably rested him.
Rested him or dropped him? What's it called?
Rested,
not dropped.
I would probably have rested him for the Malta game. In that the Slovenia game is going to be tougher. I think I'd have played. I think you could have experimented more with Malta at home.
I've been saying that some of the passing from the Malta players was pretty hot.
But I mean, I'm not going to come out and say Malta are a powerhouse. You know, they're clearly not. But they did lose twice 1-0 to Italy in the last qualifying campaign.
Yep.
Italy only beat them 1-0 on both home and away. I think Croatia only beat them 1-0 at one occasion as well. when these teams have been involved in international football for quite a long time now, I think they've been involved in about 20 years now, or possibly more. They are going to get better, and they are going to get more, streetwise about international football, and they're not going to come out and attack us. Yeah, they're just going to sit there and try and defend and stop us scoring. That's what these teams are going to do. If they can nick a 0-0, it's probably the best result in their history. So I think you can experiment a bit more against these teams. I probably would have liked to have seen, if he was going to play Rooney in only one of them, I think I'd have rather have seen him play tomorrow night. But he's gone the other way. So he's the manager.
Right, okay.
You must know what he's doing.
Gareth Southgate as manager, what's your thoughts on that?
You can't judge him after one game.
Oh, we did, Sam.
Well, no, we didn't judge him after one game. We judged him on being an idiot.
He judged himself. He judged himself. Yeah.
We judged him on being a greedy so-and-so. So, we didn't base it. It wasn't anything football related, the Allardyce thing. But, Southgate has got 4 games, and we'll see what happens after those 4 games. If we win all 4 games, then really you probably have to give it him, especially because one of the games are friendly against Spain. So,
if it was your choice and your choice alone, Chris Pugh, who would you have as England manager right now this second?
Right now this second is tough because you're partway through a season and the options aren't as readily available.
All right,
I think it's interesting that they've given Southgate 4 games, which will take us to about March. And then you start looking at who's available after the season, and Arsene Wenger's in his last year of his contract, and he's certainly someone the FA have considered before. And I honestly think he'd take it.
Is that something you would consider if you were in that position?
If I would not be, I certainly wouldn't turn away the possibility of Wenger being England manager. Absolutely not.
We've been down.
I'd welcome that. We've been down what route? Foreign coaching?
Absolutely.
Sven, probably our best manager of the last 30 odd years.
Yeah.
Best performances in tournaments under
Performances
Sven.
don't win cups. Winning wins cups.
I mean, we haven't won a cup since 1966.
Yeah.
So you can't judge any of our managers on winning cups because we haven't.
No, I know what you're saying. It is a difficult one, but if it was a clean sheet and you could pick anybody right now, who would you pick?
See, I see Eddie Howe as somebody who could manage England for 10, 15 years. I'd like him to have a bit more time in club football. I'd like him to get quite a big job in, no disrespect to Bournemouth, but they're not. He's not managing England players. He's not managing international players at the moment.
Egos, you mean?
Yes. Yeah. If you if you like, egos or people who are used to playing international football. Because I'm not one of these people who buys into England players don't care or whatnot, or they're only in it for themselves. So, but I'd like to see Eddie Howe be England manager one day. In the short term, I would be more than happy to see Wenger get it.
All right, okay.
But if Southgate wins all 4, then he's got to be given the chance, really.
Slovenia's not going to be an easy kick over tomorrow.
No,
it's not.
I think it's the toughest game of the group. I think Slovenia are a decent side, especially in their own place. I think we won 3-2 there in the Euros qualifying, and they give us a game then. So I think it'll be tough, which is why I say, for me, I'd have gone with Rooney tomorrow night. But
what kind of message do you think it sends out to the Slovakian team when England drop their captain? Slovenia. When England drop the captain,
I think they'll be delighted.
It's got to be a boost for their confidence.
I think they'll be delighted to see Rooney not playing. That's what I think. But obviously, he's I don't know who he's going to put in his place. I don't know if that's been. I think Eric Dyer's back available, so I would assume it's going to be Eric Dyer and Henderson in the middle with Ali in that number 10 role.
Oh, we'll see how it pans out tomorrow.
But then you could have put heaven forbid, putting Wayne Rooney up front in his natural position, where he's England's all-time top goal scorer. Heaven forbid, possibly putting Wayne Rooney in a striker's position.
It has been part of the problem over the years, hasn't it?
What?
Playing people out of position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think he's been incredibly harshly treated. So, I mean, the sheer nerve of English people to boo when he's still playing. He's still wearing an armband in an England shirt, and he's getting booed.
Well, it happened to one of our players
whilst playing. Hold on, this is. I mean, I don't agree with the Cottrell booing as well.
No.
But this is our all-time top scorer, a man who's played for England for the last 12, 13 years, and he's never dropped out of, never had a little niggle and dropped out of a squad. He's always been proud to play for England.
Yeah,
he's broke out, and all sorts of records, and he's there captaining England in a qualifier for a World Cup, and he's getting booed.
Steve Bruce for England says.
Well, that's one that I was hoping you would mute. To be perfectly honest with you, no, absolutely not. No. Okay. How not?
No way.
Completely and utterly 100% not.
Okay.
Right.
I'm not. He's not of that calibre.
Eddie Howe all the way. Remember, Southgate took the money for the pizza ad. Big Sam taking a bung. It's all corrupt and bent. So there you go.
Allegedly.
I think Southgate doing a pizza ad is a little bit different to Allardyce. But yeah, I mean, Eddie Howe, I'd love, like I said, at some point I'd love to see Eddie Howe get the England job, because I think he's a very good manager with the word of the modern era. He's got a good philosophy. He likes to play football the right way, and he's done really good things with Bournemouth. So if he gets a big job, sees how he copes with that pressure.
But you think I agree where he's got to have a big
because
job
he
first.
hasn't had any expectation on him. With all due respect, again, Bournemouth, there isn't an expectation for Bournemouth to. The only expectation for Bournemouth every season, if they're in the Premier League, is to stay there. If he went to manage an Everton or someone like that, then the expectation levels rise, and then we'll see how he deals with that sort of pressure.
Interesting. Any more on the incoming?
Rooney is past it. Move on, bring on the new blood. Otherwise, we will be talking about this for ages as a country. We will not move forward.
But why are we even discussing it? Why is it such?
Well, because it's in the news.
But why is it such a big deal? Why? I don't understand why Wayne Rooney even is an issue. He is the England captain. He is still one of our best players. I genuinely don't see it. Honestly, I don't. I don't see the fascination with trying to lambast somebody who's done so much for their country.
Him.
They're booing him at home when he's captaining the side.
Yeah, look, that wasn't me. I'm not an advocate for booing anyway, to be honest with you.
It's madness. Absolute madness.
There seems to be a bit of an apathy on the shout box regarding England anyway, I'm afraid that's so.
Well, there seems to be a bit of an apathy regarding England, full stop. People
let's be honest,
were not in the pubs the weekend.
Look at the Euros.
Game.
Look at what happened in the Euros. We fire the manager. Allardyce comes in, and then he goes and does what he does. There's no real... and as much as Gareth Southgate is the safe option, that's what he is. It's the safe... it's not a... get people into the ground, look who we've just appointed as manager, is it?
No.
No.
As much as it's probably the right option at the moment and the safe option, which is why the FA have done it, it's not going to excite people. So I'm not surprised there's an apathy towards England. What they did in the Euros.
Okay.
The Allardyce situation.
I'll put this one back. Forget the Allardyce situation. Let's go back to the Euros then. What we didn't perform in the Euros, and yet we've still got the same captain.
But that's not Rooney.
But
what happened in the Euros wasn't Wayne Rooney.
But he's team captain.
Every single one of those players in that Iceland game forgot how to play football. Every single one of them. They couldn't pass a ball. They couldn't trap a ball. That's not the captain's. The captain can't help what's going on around him. He can only do what he had a really poor game that game. against Iceland. He crumbled away with the rest of them, and that's where I'd look at the management. But
It says that so Rob doesn't like the international breaks either. He says that no one was in his local either.
Literally, right. In the Swan, there were 3 people, and we went from the Swan.
There is a definite apathy
to
towards
the
England
British
at the
Legion
moment.
Club, which can hold 60, 70 or 80 in the one room where the TV, and the TV wasn't even on. And when me and Sharon walked through the door, we were the only 2 people in there. That's a fact, and that is just how apathetic it's gotten.
But they were saying, I mean, it's amazing that we still get 81,000 in at Wembley for a game against Malta.
Them tickets were sold quite a while ago, though.
The tickets are sold. The tickets are sold cheap. They're given away to local schools, everything like that. But to have 81,000,
there is a massive corporation bit now, though, isn't there? That's sort of like what a ridiculous.
There is that. The Wembley, the Club 10, where they all bought tickets for like 10 years. I think that's coming up. That's got to be coming to a close soon. So.
Good.
But,
and another embarrassment as well is that area of red seats in front of the camera.
Well, that's the
corporation as well.
That is the bit that we're talking about. Yeah.
The first thing you look at, and it's there all game, bang on that halfway line.
I've just looked at the screen. All I can see is wasted no hopers. That's not that's not a good sign.
ELO saying Eddie Howe all the way. Remember Southgate took the money for the pizza. Yeah, and Big Sam took the ball. We've had that one. Rooney has passed it. Move on. Blah blah blah. He is not one of our best players. We need to get rid of all the wasted no hopers. Walcott can't play 90 minutes. Wilshere can't play 90 minutes. Look at overalling all of it from top to bottom. Isn't that what we had St George's for?
Well, yeah.
But St George's, we've had this discussion before. It's only been going like 2 or 3 years, isn't it?
I thought it was going longer than that.
Google it, please.
Sorry.
Right, I'll get it up. See.
Okay, yeah. Against Iceland, they were about as good as a mid-table Sunday league. Said Matthew James.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, they completely froze. We got an early goal, which you thought was perfect, and then it just completely went to pieces when Iceland scored the 2 goals, and there was no direction from the coaching staff, no direction from the management, and the players just went to pieces, and that's having a young side, and like I say, Rooney certainly didn't have his best game that day. I don't think he had his best game against Malta. He did okay.
9th of October 2012.
2012. So it's been going nearly 4 years.
4 years.
So nothing's going to change in 4 years. France had Clairefontaine open, in the 70s, didn't they? And then they won the World Cup in 98.
David Angel said, he's implying that he doesn't really like the new Wembley. He said it's horrible.
It's tough to get an atmosphere there for England games. I think definitely.
Hudson fell on a good side against Germany without Rooney, and he changed to fit Rooney in.
Not having it.
You're not going to like that one.
I'm not having that.
Prawn sandwich.
He got quite lucky in that Germany game. We had nothing to lose. We were 2-0 down, and the players who come on, Germany switched off, and we played. We played really well in that last half hour, and that last half hour gave everybody the hope and expectation for the Euros.
Even though Farmer Hodgson has gone, how did he get the job in the first place?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah. I don't, he was never.
What did he call him?
Farmer Hodgson.
He would he was never one to excite fans, and he never did it. But that I suppose that's the worry about Southgate as well, is that he's not going to do that either. He's not going to be that man to get people in and to excite people. But the Euros it was so bad that you can see why there's still a nationwide apathy for the England team.
It's going to take an awful lot to change it, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's going to take more than a 2-0 win over Malta, certainly, yeah. But the thing is, we went the last qualifying campaign, we won every single game, we won 10 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
So even if we did the same again, it's going to take a good run at a tournament for anything to happen, but we haven't had one of those since 1996.
Right, just trying to get the England fixtures up actually to find out who we're playing next. So Slovenia tomorrow.
Yes.
Um,
And I think we've got Scotland at home before the year's out as well, I think.
it just says on here on BBC that Rooney has won 117 caps for England. 117 currently. And that's the photograph that they put on it.
We're just giving him stick. So much stick. Booing him. Booing our own captain. After 117 caps. Our all-time top scorer.
And yet the BBC use a picture like that.
Well, what can you say?
Don't know whether you can see that at home, but that is the BBC's current picture of Wayne Rooney.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't look very happy, does he? Hey. Anyway, I'm not a Rooney hater. Please believe
what?
That. No, I'm not.
I don't believe
that. I'm not a
For
Rooney
a
hater.
second.
Not a Rooney hater. I just don't think he should be in the job. That's it. Okay. So we've got Curtis Woodhouse coming up in about 4 minutes' time. Super 6 for the weekend, mister. You were on 21 points at one stage.
What happened?
I photographed it and put it on the Tilton Talk page, and then you went downhill from there.
Was that embarrassing? I didn't even put the tables up.
Oh dear. Even Sharon beat me this week. I've had it in the ear all weekend again. What was your score? Did you get a
11?
9? 11?
Oh, respectable.
I think I got a 12.
Did you?
Yeah.
I think... Yeah.
You're still down there, though, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. I'm still
yeah.
absolutely terrible, yeah.
28,
I think it was 11 or 12.
117 games, Rooney's open.
Yeah.
117 caps, he's been capped 117 times.
117 caps
And what
for his
have
country.
we won? And what have we won with him?
What did Peter Shilton 100 and whatever? What did we win? David Beckham 100 and whatever? What did we win? Yeah, there's so many.
I think this is what the problem
every single
is.
player, apart from somebody who was in the 1966 World Cup squad, every single England player that's ever played, you can say that about.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so you can. But why is there? But there's this mad obsession with Rooney.
I think it's just that we've all had enough, and he's the captain. So
got to pick on somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So just pick on our all-time top goal scorer. Yeah, that's the sensible approach. Well done, England. Yeah.
We like a good failure, don't we?
Oh yeah, really good failure. Yeah.
Right, on Super 6 at the moment, currently in the lead with 108 points, very respectable Stephen Masters. 108 points. 108 points. That's pretty impressive. I've lost my glasses on yet. Craig Darby 101, Ray Hobro 101, Gareth Hudson the Stokey 99, my sister Pat, well done sister, 98. Christina Hobro 93, Craig Masters 92, Tom Heslop 90, Daniel Bishop 87, Stephen Cale 86. That's the top 10. We have to press the view more for yours and mine, Chris. My son Luke on 79, doing very well. Sharon Hudson up there 74, Chris Brown on 73, me on 63, and you on 60 currently. So
me on 60.
Yeah.
And you're on 63.
63.
And what's Chris on? Did we say Chris?
Yeah, we did say Chris Brown. Chris Brown's above the both of us actually on 73, so there's a 10 point.
Oh,
10 and 13 point gap. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So there you go. That's summed up Super 6 for this week. Okay, it's 8 o'clock, and our very special guest is on the phone right now. A very big Tilton Torm Monday night warm welcome to Curtis Woodhouse. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening, Curtis.
Good evening, mate.
Ah, there you are, matey. Nice. Mr. Technical's got it right this week. Hey, dear me. Oh, dear, I'll nearly knock the table over then. Welcome to the Tilton Talk Show, Chris. It's your first outing. Sorry, Curtis. It's your first outing with us.
Yeah, my first one, lads. I'm looking forward to it.
I was trying to kind of work out this morning, because you come from up north, and I was trying to work out what your accent would be, but I can quite understand it, so it's perfectly okay.
Yeah, I'm not that far away.
No, we got some friends up in Newcastle, so I didn't know, how much further up down from there that you were. Right, Curtis. First question: tell us about Jumbo V.
Jumbo V. There's not. You there?
Yeah, we're here. Yeah.
Hello.
Yep, we're listening.
Yes, there's not many people that I'm quicker than these days, but I think Jumbo V's definitely one of them. He's a racehorse that we've that our racing clubs all chipped in and bought. So he's ran 2 races and finished last both times. So
Well, hey, that's not too bad.
It can only get better.
Might be a bit of echo on that, Chris, I don't know.
Yeah, it's good.
Curtis, born 17th of April 1980 in Beverley, near Hull, and raised in Driffield. What was it like growing up around them areas?
It's quiet. It's a market town. Not much going on. One of those places where everybody knows everybody. Everybody knows everybody's business. So yeah, I mean, it's a place where I wouldn't mind my own kids being brought up. It's a nice little town, is Driffield. So. Yeah.
Not one that I've been to. Anybody else been to Driffield? No. I hadn't heard of it until this morning, to be perfectly honest with you. But your early years at school, I mean, you're writing some of your writings that some of your early years were like quite difficult. Your mum and dad were of mixed marriage, which was very unusual back then.
Yeah.
And growing up, was quite tough, really.
Yeah, definitely. My early years were difficult for me. And yeah, like I said, in 1980 in the north of England, there wasn't there was no mixed families, mixed marriages, or anything like that. So yeah, it was, people used to, touch my hair and things like that when I was in the pushchair, and point and like say, "Oh, have you seen him?" and things like that. So yeah, it was a little bit difficult, but it was all I knew. I didn't know anything else, so I had nothing to kind of compare it to. So yeah, it was difficult, but you kind of just adapt to your environment and get on with it, I suppose.
And you made your first footballing debut against Crewe.
Yeah.
Tell us about that one.
Tuesday evening, yeah. It was Saturday afternoon. I was substitute. I think I was 17, just turned 17, and Nigel Spackman put me in the squad, and I think I came on after about 75 minutes. So obviously a really proud moment for me. I'd spent my whole life wanting to be a footballer, so to actually achieve that when I came onto the pitch, it was a bit of a surreal moment for me, really.
Were your parents there at that game?
My dad was at the game. I don't think my dad ever missed a game I played in. So yeah, my dad was at the game. My mum never really used to come to watch me play football, but yeah, my dad was there.
Because your dad used to take you everywhere, didn't he? I mean, even though he'd got no money, he would beg, steal, and borrow to get, like you said in the opening notes in your book, there a tenner, just to get petrol, just to get you to a game.
Yeah, we didn't have much, but obviously I think my dad realised that I had an opportunity of making something in my life. So if we had any spare money, kind of my dad used to have this red Ford Cortina that we went all over the country in. So yeah, if we had a spare tenner, it went on petrol, really.
How does that feel now? Like, I mean, because when you made your mark in football, obviously it was £1 million move into St Andrews from Sheffield, and you must look back, because your dad sadly passed away in his early 50s, and you must look back at that and with absolute admiration for everything that he did for you.
Yeah, most definitely. Both my parents, sacrificed a lot. Whenever there was any training or any trials, I always took priority over whatever they wanted, or whatever my dad wanted, or whatever my dad was doing. My trials and training and things like that always took priority. So it was a massive sacrifice for everybody, really. But I think if you've got a child, I'm the same. I've got 3 children, and if they need anything or want to do anything, then I think you strive always to give them the very best you could. And yeah, my parents definitely did that with me.
Admirable. Sheffield United's youngest ever captain at the age of 19. That's quite an achievement.
Yeah, it's still a record to this day. And
it's still a club record, is it?
It's still a club record, to this day, and I might not get broke for a little bit longer. I don't think. I'm the youngest ever player to win the Player of the Year award as well. I think I was 18 when I won that, so I don't think that'll get beat anytime soon either. So yeah, they're two really proud moments for me. And look, at the time, you just kind of take it in your stride. I'm a young kid, just a little bit bullheaded, and you don't really appreciate anything when you're younger. But I look back now, I've been left Sheffield United 15 years, and it's still a record. So yeah, obviously it's a proud moment. I think you appreciate it more once it's all over.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you joined Blues in 2001.
Yeah.
Trevor Francis signed you, the £1 million man signed you for £1 million.
Yeah. I think Trevor was a little bit better player than me, though.
Wow. Curtis, obviously with Trevor bringing you in, were you aware at what stature the Blues fans held Francis in, and did that make the move, obviously with Francis being the manager, even more special?
It was my dad really that told me about Trevor Francis. It was a little bit before my time. I didn't really know too much about him, to be honest, as a player. But my dad filled me in. I remember, I think my dad, one of the first things he said to me, he says, "Bloody hell," he says, he was a hell of a player, Kurt. So he told me a little bit about Trevor and a bit about his career. And yeah, it was, it was an honour that someone of that stature and of that ability wanted to sign me. I mean, he used to join in training every now and again, Trevor did, in the five-a-sides, and whenever he was doing a crossing and finishing drill, he'd join in and do some finishing. And he was still unbelievable. Technically he's fantastic. He just couldn't run, obviously, because his legs had gone. But whenever we did a crossing and finishing, he's the best finisher at the club. He was still, he was still unbelievable.
Oh dear! And of course, then after the Trevor Francis era, you kind of fell out of favour with the club a little bit with Brucey.
Yeah, when Trevor left, it was kind of the beginning of the end for me in my career for Birmingham City. A new manager comes in, and obviously he's got his own ideas. I'd had Steve Bruce at Sheffield United as my manager, so it was someone I knew, and I got on well with him at Sheffield United. We had no problems. Me and Steve Bruce, got on really well. I was playing really well. It's probably the best football I've ever played in my career was that season at Sheffield United when he was there. But obviously when he came to Birmingham City, he was probably thinking, we've got a good player down there, because he knew all about me. But the player that he had at Birmingham City wasn't the player that he'd left at Sheffield United. My career was already in a bit of trouble at that time, and spending more times in nightclubs and strip bars than I was on the training field. So, yeah, my personal life was already spiralling out of control a little bit. So when Steve Bruce came in and kind of seen the state I was in, really, I think he quickly decided that I had no future at the club.
Again, I read this morning that you went on a 44-day bender with your brother while still a Birmingham player. That's, as you said, probably another record too. My brother was living with me, and I came home from training one day. I said, "Get your passport, we're going on one." We went international, Scotland, Spain, Cyprus. Nobody knew where I was. The PFA tried to contact me, as did my club. I was the opposite of professional. Steve Bruce finally got rid of me.
Yeah,
I got hold of you. Steve, he finally got hold of you first. And then,
I remember he rang me and says, he said, "Where are you?" Maybe not as politely as that. And I think I was laid on a lilo in I think I was in Spain, and he just said, "What the hell are you doing? When are you coming back?" I just said, "I don't know, whenever." I kind of given up by that point. And like I say, I didn't realise it had been that long until I had I had a court hearing with the club and the PFA, and obviously they said I've been AWOL for 44 days, which, like I said, is probably another record, but one I'm not as proud of. And
was you aware that you were away for so long?
No, I didn't realise it was that long. I just thought it was maybe a couple of weeks, but I was in a bit of a I was in a bit of a drunken haze, and one week ended up being 44 days. So it's another record that I don't think will get beat anytime soon as well.
What was it that you think tipped you over the edge to push you away from football like that then?
I don't know. It's difficult, really. Everybody asked me, was there one moment? There was not one moment. It was just kind of a lot of it. Analysing it and looking it back I was disappointed of how my career and how my life had turned out, and I think I was just acting up as a young kid, plenty of money in my pocket. I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to do whatever I want to do. I gave up on myself, really, looking at it now, and as a 36-year-old man, being able to analyse that part of my life, I just think I gave up on myself and just went into a darker place. And before I know it, like I said, I'm doing stupid things like going on 44-day benders, and my life's a mess at this point. And because I wasn't in the team on Saturdays, I wasn't even in the squad or anything like that. So I had nothing to stop me going out. Normally I think, I've got a game tomorrow, I better not go out tonight, but I had no structure to my life whatsoever, so it just spiralled out of control.
Curtis, in your book, you mentioned about I've seen an interview about the game you played against Man United. And you're playing alongside the likes of Beckham, Giggs, Scholes on the same pitch as them, and not in a fit state. Were they aware? Could you tell that opposition players were aware when you were in these moments?
No, I don't know. It's difficult to say, really. No, I don't. No one ever said anything to me on the pitch, and I've not been out the day before that game, but I've been out for probably like 8 or 9 days in a row, and I felt so rough. I remember warming up, not really being able to sprint, because I'm thinking, oh my God, if I run too quick, I'm going to be sick here. And it was just a really bad moment for me, really. That's probably, if not the lowest point in my career, it was definitely one of them. And it should have been a highlight that I look back on now. And even both my boys are both Man United fans, and they say, "Oh, Daddy, you've played against Man United, haven't you?" I just find it really difficult to talk about, because it isn't something I look back with any pride or any sense of achievement. I just look back at it as like, what an idiot. I'm at Old Trafford in front of 70,000 people that have, forked out a lot of money to come and support the team I'm playing for, and it's probably cost them, if you take their family, it's a week's wages, and I'm drunk. I'm not drunk, but I'm in no fit state to be playing, and I look back at it with just embarrassment, really. But it's part of my life. It's something I'm not hid away from. I'm not trying to blam it up or justify it. It is what it is, I suppose.
I think standing up to it, though, and talking about it is testament to your resolve, though, really, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, I'm over it now. I've dealt with all this a long time ago, so to talk about it in my book wasn't really an issue for me. I dealt with all these things when I was probably 26, 27 years old. Once I finally retired from football, I kind of had to, because I blamed everyone. I went through a long period of hating Steve Bruce, and if I bumped into him in the street, I had it made I was going to beat him up and all things like this, So I really detested the man. And Karen Brady as well. I hated her. And I hated everybody at that point. When I went from Birmingham City to Peterborough United, I fell out with everyone at Peterborough as well. I went to Hull City, fell out with everyone at Hull City. So, it was kind of the point of, it was always everybody else's fault. And I got, like I said, when I got to the point where I was 25, 26, and I hung my boots up, I kind of had to acknowledge that my career, going from England in the 16s, 18s, 21s, I fully believed I was going to be a full international, and my career has ended up in the bin, really, and it's all my fault. And as soon as I accepted it was my fault and analysed it and kind of had a little mini breakdown and thought, you know what, it is your fault, you've messed it up, you've been given the golden ticket and you've messed it up. As soon as I kind of got my head around that, and it took me a while to forgive myself, but as soon as I had, I was fine. I'm cool now. I've got no, I don't look back with any bitterness on my career at all anymore. Whereas for a long time I was bitter towards football. I think I say in the book, I didn't watch a football game for nearly 4 years. I've never been back to St Andrews since the day I left. I've never been back to any football.
Is that sorry? I'll stop you. Is that something that you'd want to change?
I'm in no rush to. It doesn't. It's not a burning desire for me to go back. I just kind of feel like I've just left that period of my life behind. I haven't got any good memories there, really. And that's nothing against the football club. The football club's a fantastic football club. It was more about me and what was going on with me than anything to do with the football club. The fans are great at Birmingham City. They remind me very much of the Sheffield United fans. They're both passionate, both love their clubs. So yeah, it's not. I don't think I need to go back to exercise any demons or anything like that, because I exercised all them nearly a decade ago. So if hopefully I'll go back to St Andrews one day as a manager. That's what I want to get into, is being a football manager. So I'm sure I'll end up back there at one point, but I don't feel like I've got to go back to exercise any demons. I've not been back to any football clubs that I've played for in the past, apart from Sheffield United. All the clubs I've never been to Hull City. I've just never been back there. I just think it's a chapter of my life that I've kind of dealt with, put it away, and I'll leave it there. You know what I mean? Well,
from the hundreds of messages we've seen on social media today and on the networks that we use, nobody's had a bad word to say against you. There you go.
Yeah, no, that's kind. And like I said, it's my life. It's been my life, and I'm sure there's loads of people that have made a mess of their lives in the past and done things where they look back and think, oh my God, that much. Some of the stuff I've done and some of the things when I'm reading the book make my skin crawl. But it is what it is, isn't it? You know, I'm a meat and two veg type of guy. You always know where you stand with me. There's never any BS. You know, what it is what it is. So, and that's the way I wanted to write my book. I didn't want to sugarcoat anything. I didn't want to, try and make anything out to be something that it wasn't. It's just all in there, the good, bad, and the ugly. And I think people appreciate honesty rather than, blaming other people for my my problems. You know, they all fall on my doorstep, and I'm cool with that.
I think everybody appreciates, like you say, your honesty and your integrity. But one of the things I did read earlier says, going back to the Barry Fry time, when you spent 3 or 4 months out with Barry Fry contacted me. He was at Peterborough manager and as mad as me. We got on well, and I was his player of the year and captain. He promised me a transfer at the end of the season and then went back on his word. So I downed tools and played at 50%. Peterborough were not a good side and 50% was sufficient. That's just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
I mean, Baz is like, well, you guys will know Baz as well as I do. He's mad as a box of frogs, and I kind of felt like I'd joined the right place because Baz was crazy, I was crazy. I was like, well, this is perfect. I kind of like, got rid of the kindred spirit here because no matter what I ever did, I'll never be as crazy as Barry Fry. So, I got on well with Baz, but the reason for when I signed for him, obviously signed me on a free. I got sacked from Birmingham City, so I was a free agent. So Baz signed me, and he says to me, listen, just come and play until the end of the season. You'll do well. We'll let you go for free in the summer so you can get your career back on track. That was the only reason I signed for him. And then when he went back on that, Hull City tried to sign me at the end of that season. They'd just been promoted to the Championship. So I wanted to go. And I thought, Baz gave me his word that they'd let me go on a free. But all that then changed, because I had a good season at Peterborough. I scored some goals, got Player of the Year, and I was a captain of the team. So I was doing well. I kept up my part of the bargain, and I felt like Barry Fry let me down by basically going against what he told me.
Modern football, eh? Modern football.
Yeah, exactly. Well, listen, it's maybe me being naive into thinking that was actually going to happen. Looking back now, I should have had something in my contract. I negotiated my contract myself. Didn't have an agent at the time. Baz offered me a deal, and I just took it. I just kind of wanted to get back playing again. I'd been in a situation at Birmingham City where I was earning like loads of money. I was earning good money at Sheffield United, and earning good money just made me unhappy. So I wasn't bothered about the money at Peterborough. I just wanted to be playing again on a Saturday afternoon. So, maybe a little bit naive by me. I thought, all right, Baz has said that, so that'll obviously be happening. I had nothing in my contract, and then the season I came back after they didn't sell me, it was just me saying, right, okay, no problems. Now you're going to see the ugly side of me. And they did. We got relegated that year, and, probably a big part of that was my fault. So I was awful that year. I played really bad. I didn't care either. I downed tools, really, which is a bad indictment on myself. But I just kind of, I gave up. I didn't try, really.
But then after Hull came Sheffield United's youth team manager Russell Slade, who was in charge of Grimsby at the time, and said to you, come with us and go out on a high. Didn't quite end up like that, but...
No, well, we lost in the playoff final, but it was good to be back playing in a team that was winning most weeks. And I played well for Grimsby because I'd already decided I was going to retire. And once I decided I was going to retire, I felt like a big weight had been lifted off my shoulders. I felt like I could actually go back and, just enjoy it. I was like, I've got 6 months left in my career. I'm just going to try and end it on a high. And so we got to the playoff final and we got beat in the final. But I got fond memories of Grimsby. I enjoyed my time there, and it was nice to kind of end my career with the person that I started it with, Russell Slade.
And also an absolutely fantastic stadium as well.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I mean, it was empty when we played in the final, like, it wasn't there.
Yeah.
Even though it holds 60,000, I think it was about 5,000 in it when we played, so it looked pretty empty, but yeah, it was nice nonetheless.
Right, then on to the boxing career. You'd been through a few scuffles as a kid.
Yeah.
And that's probably where you learnt to get it.
I could always fight. I'm from fighting stock. So fighting was always something I was all right at. But there's a big difference between fighting in bars and car parks than to fighting as a professional in a boxing ring. You know, it's not about how hard you are, how tough you are. Boxing's a game of skill. So even though I was used to being in fights, confrontation didn't bother me. I didn't feel nervous about confrontation. But I had no skill sets to be a boxer. And that was really difficult. I literally started with no skill sets, and I was so far off being competent. It was a joke, really, but it took me it was a long, hard road.
Which was more nerve-wracking then, your first game for Crewe or your first step into the ring?
First step into the ring. Because my first game, my debut against Crewe, I'd been playing football my whole life up until that point. You know, so it wasn't something that was alien to me. I knew I could just go on. I knew I had the ability and the skills to be able to handle myself on the football pitch. Whereas boxing was complete opposite. I didn't have a clue what I was like. I think we did a 10-week training camp, and then I was fighting. So yeah, that was the most nervous I've ever been walking to the ring for my debut. It was a horrible, horrible feeling. I was petrified. I was really scared, and my legs were like jelly. It was horrible. But then after it had finished, I wanted to do it all over again. And I describe it's like being on a roller coaster. You're in the queue, you're absolutely scared stiff, and then once the ride's over, your initial reaction is, "Wow, I want to do that again."
So you knocked the guy down twice. Dean Mark Cantonio knocked him down twice in the last round and beat him on points.
Yeah.
Do you think that was like kind of the pinnacle of where you wanted to be, irrespective of the fact that you was, a very good professional footballer, but this is like where Curtis wants to be in the ring? Yeah,
well, when I decided to go boxing, I could have chosen anything really. I just knew I didn't want to play football anymore, and fortunately for my street cred, I chose boxing. But if I'd have bumped into Phil Taylor, I'd have probably ended up giving darts a go. I was just that lost. I just knew I didn't want to play football. I didn't really care what it is I did, but I just didn't want to play football anymore. So, yeah, fortunately, boxing was something that I enjoyed watching. I always liked fighting, so yeah, I thought, why not? Let's have a go. And when I was in there, people look back and say, "Oh, brilliant! He's won his debut. He's knocked him down twice." But sat in the dressing room after the fight was a bit of a tough moment for me, really, because my old manager at the time, Dean Powell, he's not with us anymore. He passed away not long ago. But he basically rang me up a couple of weeks before the fight and says, I found someone to fight, Dean Mark Antonio. So I said to Dean, I said, no way am I fighting a Mexican on my debut. I said, you lot are trying to stitch me up. I know what you're doing. I've heard what this boxing game's like, blah, blah, blah. And Dean said to me, he says, he's not a Mexican. He said, he's a window cleaner from London. He says to me, I've scrawled the whole of the UK. This guy's the worst fighter I can find. So I'm like, right, okay, fantastic. I'll take your word for it. So obviously I'm in the dressing room after, and the fight was nip and tuck until I put him down twice in the last round. So yeah. I remember sat in the dressing room thinking, I've just fought the worst fighter that Dean can find. And basically, up until the last round, it was a coin toss on who was winning. So that was a daunting moment for me, really. It made me realise, wow, I'm a long, long way away from what I want to do. And I got paid $2,500 for that fight. So by the time I paid my manager, paid my trainer, I came out with like under $1,000. So I remember thinking, wow, 10 weeks for peanuts, really. So it was a realisation of I'm miles away from any big fights where I can earn some decent money. And, am I even going to be able to beat anyone that's any good? So, yeah, it was a scary moment, really.
Yeah, we just had somebody on the Facebook page just actually ask the question, how bad was your first opponent?
Yeah, he was... well, I don't want to disrespect him.
He was a window cleaner. He'll lose his rag.
Yeah, he was a lovely fella, nice kid, but... Yeah, he wasn't very good, but neither was I, so it was a 50-50 fight, really. And I just got the better of him on that night, so, yeah, but yeah, he was bad. Now, I've watched that fight back loads of times. I watched it about 3 months ago, actually. Someone posted it online, and oof, it was horrible. It wasn't nice at all to watch. I'm thinking, wow, I can never actually remember being that bad, but I was. But yeah, I got there in the end.
Have you thought about how your career would have gone if that you hadn't have won that fight? What you'd have thought of, progressing in boxing after that? Would you have continued or?
Yeah, that's a
become
good
a
question,
window cleaner,
actually. Yeah, no, it's a good question, but I think I'd had obviously a little bit of media attention leading up to the fight. It'd have been very difficult for me to walk away with my tail between my legs and go back to football. After kind of, giving it the big licks in the build-up, really, saying I was going to do this and I'm going to do that, and then to walk away with my tail between the legs. But I'd have had to carry on, I suppose. My pride would have made me stick with it. But, yeah, it would have been, I'd have been a bit of a laughing stock, I think, if I'd have lost, because I think a lot of people tuned in and watched the fight and I was going to lose. And a lot of people don't like footballers at the best of times. So yeah, there was a little bit of people tuning in to watch the freak show, I suppose.
Got another question just coming in through the Facebook feed for you. Won't be a second.
One question: on a training run at Blues, did Curtis ever jump in a cab to finish it?
Who's asked me that?
Gabby.
Who's asked that?
Gabby.
Gabby Cabby's put that on.
Yeah, we used to have this run. It was about 5 miles. I can't remember where it was. Round it's West Hills, the training ground,
yes,
isn't it?
West Hills.
Yeah, and it was like up and down these hills. So I got to the bottom of the road and rang a taxi. There was about 3 or 4 of us in this cab. I think it was a Monday morning. I'd been wrecked all weekend, so the last thing I needed was a 5-mile run. So I got to the bottom of the road, out of where Brucey could see me, and rang a taxi. Yeah, I thought I said, we went to a place called Beckett's. Is that still there?
Yeah, Beckett's Farm, yeah.
Yeah. So I went in Beckett's, had a quick sandwich, and then got a taxi back. Just dropped us at the bottom of the road, and then just ran in. So it looked like we just finished our run.
Not a sweat. Yeah. Not a sweat. Yeah. Not even a sweat on.
No, exactly. Yeah.
Brilliant. Your dad then sadly passed away at the age of 51. Where did you get your inspiration from after that? Because your dad was very inspirational all through your career. Yeah,
I think as my boxing career went on, and I was getting better, and I was, holding my own with good fighters. And I boxed Birmingham's own Frankie Gavin, and lost on a split decision. I think that was a moment where I started to get people's respect after that. People like, wow, because people were saying, oh, Frankie's going to do this, he's going to do that to you, blah, blah, blah. This is a joke fight. People saying you've got no right being in the ring with Frankie Gavin. And then a fight then after a lot of people thought I won it. Obviously I didn't get the decision. And I think that was a moment where I started to actually believe, I think I can win a British title here. Because even though I'd said it, I knew I was a long, long way away from it. And then once I, boxed against Frankie, I thought, well, if he's meant to be all that, and I've just given him a good fight, I think I can do this. So I got my inspiration from that, and obviously when my dad died, about 10 minutes before he died, I made him that promise that I was going to win the British title, and that was probably something that I wish I hadn't have done, because it was a massive burden for me to carry around for a long time. That was, and it ate away at me whenever I had setbacks, whenever I lost fights. I always thought like the last thing I've ever told my dad, somebody who's done so much for me in my life and in my career, the last thing I ever told him, I'm not going to be able to fulfill. And it really ate away at me, and it was difficult. And I wish if I could turn back the hands of time, the anguish that caused me along the way of making that promise was really, really difficult. I used to get really upset and think, I'm not going to be able to do this. Luckily, I did it in the end.
Mm-hmm.
But it was something that, looking back, it caused me that much pain and anguish over the years that I hadn't fulfilled the promise I made him. They were tough times, yeah. And
that was, of course, at Bramall Lane.
What was?
Where you fought, was it not?
No. I fought at Bramall Lane before. I fought Frankie Gavin I think it was at the MEN Arena. I won the British title in Hull.
I beg your pardon.
I have boxed at Bramall Lane, yeah.
Yeah. Just had a message come through. This is one of the best interviews I've ever heard. Really honest and open top man. So thank you for that.
And that's very nice.
Right, okay, so on to the troll. Because we've...
Yeah.
Well, you knew it was coming, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, because everybody asks you, don't they?
That's all people are interested in. I went to a hotel in Rotherham not long ago. I checked in with my wife and I went to the bar. And there was a man behind the bar and he says, I recognise you from somewhere. Where is it? And I said, I don't know, boxing, football. And he said, oh, right, did you used to be a boxer? I said, yeah, I used to be. So I said, I play football as well. He says, no, it's not that. And he was racking his brains and he says, this morning, you were on this morning waiting for tracking that troll down. I was like, yes, mate, that's me. I've spent 20 years being a professional athlete and all I'm known for is chasing some idiot off the internet. So,
having said that, it kind of set a precedent, really, because these kind of people who do these kind of things are quite often, I don't know, some kind of disturbed, you know what I mean? And to do it and to have him tracked down, but then to get invited onto the TV and meet him live, that must have been, you must have wanted to just rip his throat out.
By that time, I was fine. I'd already calmed down, and I kind of moved on. But Lorraine Kelly she came into. I was having my makeup done, and she came into makeup.
He was enjoying that way.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, it took her an hour to make me look presentable. But she came in the room and says she introduced herself. She's a lovely lady. She says, "Oh, Curtis, I just want to let you know that we've got James O'Brien on the show as well."
Jimmy Brown Pants.
Yeah, Jimmy Brown Pants. Yeah, I had no idea he was going to be on the show. So she said that we've got James on as well. And I was like, right, okay. And she says, I just wanted to let you know there's not going to be any violence, is there? Because she says that this isn't Jeremy Kyle. So she says we've got no security here whatsoever. So I says, well, I'll be honest with you. I said, if he comes out and starts being Larry, then I'm going to take him out on your show live on TV. He's going to get knocked out.
Thinking of figures.
Yeah, so she says, well, I spoke to James, and I've never even seen him to this point in the flesh. Said I spoke to James. He said he just wants to come on and apologise. I said, well, if he does that, we've got no problems. But if he doesn't, then you better get ready because there'll be some furniture getting moved around. So he came out, and I'll be honest with you, when I seen him, I felt sorry for him. He's like a real frail little wimp, and he was shaking. He was petrified. I think he thought I was going to stick one on his chin. So a little part of me felt a bit like a big bully, really. Well, I'm only 5'6" myself, but he came out and he was an absolute bag of nerves. I heard he got paid 500 quid for it, so he didn't do too bad out of it himself.
No. And you got 2.5K.
I got more fun on that stupid show than I did for a lot of my fights.
That was going to be my next point, but you beat me to it. Nice one. Oh dear. However, it was a stark lesson to these kind of people that this behaviour just isn't acceptable.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, that he used to. Well, I get on Twitter all the time. You're a rubbish footballer. You're a rubbish boxer. That's water off a duck's back to me. It doesn't bother me at all. But this guy had been. How it came to my attention to start with, I put a tweet out, a pretty mundane tweet saying, just done the school run, on my way to the gym, blah, blah, blah. And he sent one back saying, you want to be careful where you send your kids to school because you never know who's watching. That's what he said.
Oosh.
So that's what brought him to my attention. I thought, I better keep my eye on this guy. And he carried on saying, stuff about my family. And the thing is, the reason why I felt like I've got to deal with this is, I don't know who this James O'Brien, this Jimmy, whatever he was. I have no idea who this guy is. Now, this guy could be, I'm looking at it as like he's just being an idiot on Twitter. This guy could have been deadly serious.
Yeah.
When I'm out one day, he could be trying to come round to my house or anything. So I just thought, if something ever happened and I'd not dealt with it, that's something that I've got to live with for the rest of my life. So I was willing to deal with it there and then. I'm going to find this guy. And I was going to, I won't say what I was going to do, but it wouldn't have been. It wouldn't have been typing much on Twitter after I'd finished with him anyway. So, but and in the end, by the time I got there, and my sense kicked in because obviously the whole of Twitter's then following. I'm thinking, blooming heck, there's going to be about 50,000 witnesses to a murder here. So, so I thought I better calm down.
So you decided to put £1,000 bounty on his head?
Yeah, put £1,000 bounty on his head, and someone grassed him up within about 5 minutes. So,
right.
which was funny, and they gave me. I knew so much about him. They gave me like his name, his address. They told me what football team he played for. Then they sent me the fixture list from that football team, so I knew where he was going to be every Sunday. So he was in pretty deep, yeah.
At least the law's tightened up on things like that now, anyway. So there's new laws to prevent idiots like that from doing that kind of stuff anymore.
Yeah,
which is can only be a good thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so on then to what you're currently doing, manager at Bridlington.
Yeah, I went away in the summer. I've done all my coaching badges. So I'm fully qualified now to work in league football.
Well, nobody would not give you one, would they? You know what I
mean? Yeah. I think the reason I'm managing at the level I'm at now is I think it's important for me to kind of learn my trade. To put solid foundations in place. So when I do get an opportunity in the league, I'm ready for it. You know. So yeah, but I'm enjoying it. We've had a good start. We've played 3-1-3, so it's going okay. And yeah, it's something I'm passionate about. Like I said, when I walked away from football, if someone had said to me, "Oh, you'll end up being a manager," it'd have been the furthest thing away from what I wanted to do. But I had time to go away from the game and fall back in love with it. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I enjoy being a manager. I enjoy the buzz it gives me. So yeah, let's see what it takes me, I suppose.
So what are your aspirations now then? Do you want to get back into league
yeah,
management?
Yeah, that's the long term aim, is to get into league management and have some success in it. I want to win things. I want to progress. So yeah, that's the plan.
I think one of the beauty things is that if you spot a player who's going off the rails, A, you'll spot him quickly, and B, you'll know how to deal with him.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I say to even to the lads now, so listen, whatever shortcut you're thinking of taking, I've already taken it. Whatever bad road you want to go down, I've already ran down it, sprinted down it. All the bad doors you're thinking of walking through, I've already booted my way through them. So, I'm there. If you want to talk to me, you can talk to me. If you need any help, I believe even though I'm only 36, I've lived the life of probably a 60-year-old man. I've experienced a lot of things. I'm a very well-rounded human being now. So I believe a big part of managing is man management, and I believe that's where my strength is.
How do your players take to you?
Have they what?
How do your players take to you? Being an ex-pro.
Oh, we've played 3-1-3, so so far so good. But yeah, no, like I said, my standards are very high. I don't like people dipping below them. I'm quite strict. I'm a very hard taskmaster. So I can imagine at times I get on their nerves because I demand a lot. And that probably comes from my own career, looking back at my own career, thinking, God, if I'd have had a bit more discipline and a bit more, I'd have done so much better. So now I demand that in my own players. Nothing less than 100%. If they do less than 100%, I want to know why.
Played 3-1-3, do you fancy a crack at the England job?
I think I'm overqualified for the England job.
Yeah, that was one of our talking points earlier. It's a bit of a mess at the minute, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
That's another thing. We'll get back onto that one shortly. For me, what summed it up was the last bit of text that I read, and it kind of sums you up and where you are now, I think. I've got good experience in football and life too. My path has not been a conventional one, but with my love for football back, I'm looking for an opportunity to manage again. I'm 36. There's plenty of time.
Yeah. No, part of that, and that is, like I said, a lot of the things I speak about in my book as me as a 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old, and I'm sure you guys are different people now to what you were at 20 years old.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I'm far better looking.
And I'm exactly the same, I'm a different man. I've been through all the rubbish. I've been through all the crap. And I'm good now. My life's good. I'm a family man. I'm pretty boring. there's not much exciting going on in my life. You know, I might have a couple of pints on a Sunday while I'm watching the football, and then I'll be home for my Sunday dinner. You know, I'm pretty pipe and slippers, man. You know, I've thrown myself into football management. I'm a bit obsessive about it. You know, I go and watch games. I'm watching training sessions. I want to be the best at it. Just like when I went into boxing, I didn't just want to box. I want to win something. And I'm the same with football management. I want to win. I want to excel at it. So, you know, the thing that boxing taught me is if you dedicate your life to something and you're willing to do more than the next man, you'll be successful. So that's what it's taught me. So that's now what I'm doing into my new profession, which is football management. I'm giving my life to it, and if I give it everything, there's no reason why I won't be successful. You know, I know football inside out. I've played at every level the game's got to offer. I've got my qualifications with my badges. All I'm waiting for, all I need now is my experience, which I'm building, and then wait for an opportunity to come up.
Brilliant.
Just a couple of questions on the Facebook, one serious, one not so. Does Curtis see having a job as a manager like being given a second chance in football? And the other one, if you could go on the lash with any player you've played with, who would it be?
I've been on the lash with most of them. But yeah, regarding the football management, yeah, I've got a lot of unfinished business in football, whereas boxing, I reached my pinnacle. Yeah. You know, I got to climb my mountain at boxing, so I can leave it. I'm content with what I did in my boxing career. Football, I underachieved massively, and I believe I've got a lot left to give. You haven't seen the best of me in football. I always, like I say in the book, my dream was always to play for Liverpool and England. That's all I wanted to be. I wanted to be John Barnes. I dreamt of being John Barnes my whole life. You know, I just want to. I definitely believe I've got a lot of unfinished business in football. I always thought my highlight of my life was going to be professional football, and I thought that was my calling. But now looking at it, I think I've been through all this rubbish, which I think will make me a fantastic manager. You know, my life experiences are like nobody else's, so I can call on stuff other people can't call on. And I believe that'll give me the edge in football management. And yeah, I've got unfinished business, definitely. I'm itching to show what I can really do in the football world.
You sound absolutely and utterly determined to make it as well.
Yeah, I am. Like you said, a lot of it is, you know, I've got unfinished business, and a lot of it is what I've learned throughout my life is there is no shortcuts to success. I know because I've tried every one. Like I said earlier, if there is a shortcut, believe me, I'm not running the 5 miles. I'm ringing a taxi. You know, if there is a shortcut to be taken in my football career, I took it, and it ended up being washed up at 26. So I understand that there is no shortcut to success. My boxing career taught me that, and my football career taught me that, and that's what I'm taking into my management. I'm determined. I'm dedicated to making it a success.
Question from Ian Dawson. Are you interested in the Villa job?
Definitely not, no.
Hey! Once a blue, always a blue.
For us, yeah.
Once a blue, always a blue.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be very well received at Aston Villa, being a former Birmingham City. Well, I've heard Steve Bruce is a favourite.
I was just going to say they might have one in a minute. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, listen, it's a massive football club, and to see the demise is crazy, really, because Birmingham have kind of Villa have always been able to, you know, give the Birmingham City fans stick, and now the boot's on the other foot. So,
and we're loving it.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm going to say, well, I'm sure the Birmingham City fans will be loving it, and my wife, all their family are Birmingham City fans, so she's a Brummie, so they're all loving it. So it's nice that they can have their little bit of fun for a bit. But yeah, regards managing Villa, I'll pass on that one, I think.
Any reasons?
None that I can say on radio.
Okay. we won't press you too hard on it.
Yeah.
All right then. Well, what an interview that's been.
Fantastic.
Absolutely, really appreciate your time, Curtis. Thanks ever so much.
No, thanks for getting me on. I appreciate it.
If you're in the area ever on a Monday night, you'll always be welcome.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Well, I'm sure you do come down from time to time with your missus being a Brummie, so if ever you're in the area on a Monday night, you're very welcome to pop in. We do this every single Monday. This is the fifth year that we've done it for now. And we use the same sort of thing as you're using in football management: grit, determination, and the art and desire to do it.
That's all you need.
That's all we need. We don't get paid for it. We don't need the money, do we?
Nah.
Yes.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, Curtis Woodhouse. Thanks ever so much, Curtis. Bless you. Take care, mate.
Cheers.
Cheers, Kurt.
What honest and open and frank speaking that was.
That was really fantastic.
Got goosebumps, look.
No, it was, for somebody to be, you can't even imagine it, can you? Being sold for £1 million. When you're that young
And talented.
Youngest captain ever for a massive club like Sheffield United. And then you get a move to Blues. Somebody.
We were a big club then, don't we?
Yeah. Somebody
we were
of
a
the
big club
stature
then.
of Trevor Francis wants you, and then obviously Bruce comes in, and he had a relationship with Bruce before at Sheffield United, and to think what he's gone through, and I think certainly with him in management now, for young players coming through, he's got so much hindsight to offer. Because he's been through the same things as they might be thinking as well. So,
but to get to this stage though, and to have what was going to be a very glittering football career, then to fall out of love with football, go into boxing, make that promise to your dad just before he passes away. To make that promise to your dad and then fulfil that dream must have been the one that puts him back absolutely on the road again.
Well, I think, as he said in the interview, that put so much pressure on him actually making that promise, and he said if he had his time again, he might not have made that promise, but like you say, once he won that title, and to think what he'd been through, and to finally have achieved what he'd promised his dad as well, that must have been, that, like you say, probably the pinnacle of his sporting career today. Obviously, who knows, with him in management now, he might achieve more, but I think certainly that winning that boxing title.
I think it's probably brilliant for him to start off with a smaller team. Brilliant.
Oh, absolutely,
learn your trade bit by bit, keep picking away, Similar story to a kind of a Gary Rowett thing. I know there's very differences in the playing careers and that. But just be picking away week after week.
Well, like you said, he's still only 36. That's still very young in management. In management circles, there's plenty of players still playing at the age of 36. So he's got in quickly. There's plenty of opportunity for him to progress further in the management.
And you can get Curtis's book at Amazon or any other reliable places, and Kindle, I think it's on Kindle. Box to Box, it's called. Box to Box.
Yeah. And he's just texted me back to say thank you for having him.
Brilliant. What a nice man. Man. All round
very
nice. Yeah.
Some good stories there as well.
Great that, again, with the kind of character that he's been through his career, that he can sit back and so, not placidly, but just talk talk those. It's like I said,
think it was the honesty. It was the honesty that he portrayed. I mean, you can't even imagine being a professional footballer and just going away for 44 days and not caring. Do you know what I mean? You can't even imagine on all that money and the career that he would have had ahead of him. You can't imagine going through that. But he is so frank and honest about it, and it's made him the person he is today. And I was going to ask him in hindsight, knowing how his football playing career went, would he have changed anything? Would he have done anything differently? But then you wouldn't have had, like you say, wouldn't have had the life he's had now, and it's a completely different person.
As he said, he had just so much money at the age of 19. And that's a problem in football, right? Though, isn't it? Really.
But when did he come to 2001? He was at Blues. So that's only 15 years ago. And there's a 20-year-old kid who's come to Blues for £1 million, no agent. Just like you said, when he went to Peterborough, just signed anything. And you think 20-year-olds nowadays, they would be so well media trained, and
Yep.
so many people around them telling them what to do and what not
They'll
to do.
have-
Don't
they'll
go
have a
here.
script-
Don't
they'll
do
have a
this.
script by then,
Exactly.
yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, but
guideline,
it's only 15 years ago that there's a 20-year or 21-year-old lad
Yeah.
who had nobody around him. In essence, to
Yeah.
whether he did or not, and he just ignored it completely. But fair play to him, because he's he gave up his career and has achieved so much since afterwards. So
It was a fascinating 45 minutes. It really
It
was.
was.
I don't know
I
when
was
it
just
went.
gone.
It
I was
flew, didn't it?
spellbound. I was. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was brilliant. Good stuff.
Yeah. Right. Guest list for next week. Have we got one?
Could be.
We're working on it.
We're working on it. Could be another biggie.
Could be another biggie.
Another biggie.
Another Tilton Talk Show
It
biggie.
just gets better and better.
This could be a biggie.
It could be a biggie.
Biggie. Right, okay, let's, for the last about 5-6 minutes now, just talk about next Monday, D-Day.
yes, yeah.
From every kind of source that I could gather or
Every
muster
week.
to turn out today is that there should be no further glitches or hitches or delays, and the takeover of Trillion Trovers Asia should go through next Monday.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll be sitting here next Monday. Probably won't know a lot more.
No, we won't know anything more.
And we probably won't know a lot more for another 2 years until they decide to
To sell up.
excuse me, sell up if that's what they decide to do. However, in the meantime, we're still in a very healthy position in the league.
Yeah.
And if that progresses, and the absolutely unthinkable miracle does happen.
Yeah.
Yes, I know, but but they may decide that that's something that they want to keep for a little bit longer than 2 years. Excuse me.
I mean, if the thing is, if we went up within 2 years, there's no better time to sell, because we'll be a Premier League club, and that's the valuable commodity. That it's not going to get much better than that. Somebody coming in, they can name your price on a Premier League club, especially in Birmingham, in the second city, with the potential that it's got. So if we were to go up, I would probably say that they wouldn't be hanging around very long, because they could name their price and people will probably pay it. Someone will come in and pay it for it. You look at how quickly West Brom's sale went through and things like that.
Well, even them from up the street.
Well, yeah,
And
but
Wolves as well. Wolves as
they're
well.
a championship club.
Do you need to
so-
suck on a fisherman's friend or something?
Not a fisherman's friend, preferably, no.
Okay.
I do have a small tickle in my throat, though, Mr. Brown. A small tickle in my throat, and I think I've caught it from the lurch
Wouldn't
next
know.
door
Yeah,
to me.
I'm starting to get a bit cramped.
Worked quick, didn't it?
Yeah. You need to get onto Aston Villa tickets.
We
our
do,
audience
yes.
are asking.
We do. Well, whatever happens, anyway, next week I just hope that a certain Panos Pavlakis is kept on.
Yeah.
I think he will, but I don't think there's any reason that they
I think
wouldn't
it
want to
could be
rock the
another
boat.
couple of weeks, to be honest. My inside information comes from. Yeah. Go on, coffee
Oh,
up, go on, coffee up.
Excuse me.
Ooh,
Villa tickets.
Villa tickets, come on.
Villa tickets.
Capped at 25,000 for a start.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that?
Well, West Midlands Police have said that it was
BCC.
at Blues' prerogative.
Yep.
People moaning about not being a sellout. The tickets have been available for quite a while now. Now, you look at Blues Villa. Blues Villa should not be. You shouldn't be really concerned about selling out, especially at Blues.
Look, back in our day, 45, 50, 60,000 a game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All standing.
Yeah, but you really shouldn't be, worried about selling out. So I don't see the capping of the 25,000 a big issue. Really.
Do you think it's got something to do with the bridge closure, though? Possibly.
What bridge closure?
Is I've heard that
No.
the bridge just outside the ground is going to be shut.
I don't know.
No.
But I
Anything to do with it?
no, probably not. I think it's more seating than anything.
Or we haven't got enough pies.
I don't think that's no. But the people who, if you wanted to go to this game, you've had your chance. You've had a chance to get tickets, And,
well, no,
and to get your booking history. As well.
but they've been open. That you've been able to get tickets for a couple of weeks now. So if you were that desperate to go, you could have.
What if you weren't desperate then, but you are desperate now?
Now that it's capped at 25,000.
Exactly,
Well,
it's the game you've always wanted to go to, but you couldn't physically get a ticket then. You're stuffed, aren't you?
Yeah.
So I take it.
Unfortunately,
the GM upper is going to be shut. I should.
That's
imagine.
always closed.
That's always shut.
There's,
I would assume
isn't it?
I would assume the railway is going to be closed as well. The whole of the railway will be closed.
They've got an allocation of 2,000.
So I would say the rest of that stand will be empty.
Yeah.
Even the lower
Must
bit.
be for 25,
Because I think that's where you'll get the 25,000.
And what I wrote on social media when people were calling the club all sorts last week was, do you remember the last time that we played them? Do you remember every single one person that ran onto that pitch? Remember every single one of them? And they are probably the reason that we have a cap of 25,000 for probably the biggest game of the year.
And I would imagine 85% of those people will be back yet again. So?
Yeah, and I dare say 85% of those people that ran on the pitch that day aren't regulars.
No.
And I'm sure if we score, then people will be trying to get on the pitch as well. But again, which is why we get these situations, unfortunately. But
and selling of tickets on various pages, that's a bit naughty as well, isn't it?
Bit naughty.
Yeah.
I can understand it at face value, and
if you can't go for face value,
but
you're supposed to return them back to the club,
making
aren't
a
you?
profit.
Yeah. It's a bit.
Yeah, profit in
a bit
it.
cheeky.
It is.
But if people are willing to pay, then some people are going to chance their arm and go for it. But
I agree.
Yeah, a bit
Sad.
a bit of a shame. Shame that we got a cap of 25. Yes, of course, because there's nothing better than a full St Andrews. Yeah. Nothing on this earth. Yeah. But if it's a decision made by and born out of history and safety, then I certainly respect that, because
I think the possibility. I mean, obviously this won't have made a big impact in their decision making, but the fact that it could well be Bruce coming back as well.
Mm-hmm. And he could be
there is so much fire in that game now. There's so much to it that I think it's the only thing they could have done, really. It's too much of a risk to.
It is what it is. We can't change it. It's a club decision. Respect it. Get on with it. Make some noise when you're down there. That's what I say. And I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm not going to the Nottingham Forest game on Friday, even though I live quite close. Can't do it because I'm at work, so I can't get that one. It's Salah anyway, which is again wonderful. After that, Rotherham
at home, then Burton away. Yeah. So there's 3 games where it's 3 games in 7 days, and we've got I don't know if it is a benefit or a negative that we play before the weekend. So we play on the Friday night, and then everybody else plays. So if you win those games, then it puts pressure on everybody else, and likewise if you don't win it, then everybody else can gain a bit of an advantage on you. But
Ray's just said, so after the Villa game, will we get another 25,000 gate this season?
Nowhere near. No. Not unless we're in the top 6 come March and April,
or in the quarters and semis of a cup final.
Yeah, then we'll get 25,000. But that's just football nowadays. But then that's the same with Blues, or that could be the same with Blues, or any other, or Huddersfield. Huddersfield have started well. We went last season. It was a pretty pathetic home crowd, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But they're flying high this season. I'm sure when we go up there in a couple of weeks, they'll have loads there. But
Tilton Talk tour bus. Any more news on that one?
I've not been updated.
No. Okay.
I still think it's a goer.
This is for the Newcastle game on December the 10th. If you're very interested in that, get in touch with Chris Brown, and more details to follow. Well, that was one of the most interesting shows we've ever done, I think.
I didn't even get to talk about Bruce.
No, you didn't.
Next week,
Next week.
Because we'll know more.
I'll prepare it all for next week.
And have a rant next week as well,
will.
please. We've missed them. And I hope you feel better.
There was a partial one with Rooney tonight. I hope I feel better. I bet I won't because I'll have been in Liverpool all weekend. But
Again, the thing is with the Rooney thing, though, there's another game tomorrow, so we'll be able to...
Slag him off tomorrow as well.
yeah, we'll win 3-0 and everyone will be like, oh, Rooney.
Yeah, we'll be able to put a bit more meat on the bone, should we say, for next Monday. Well, thanks every single one of you for listening in, whichever stream you've listened in on, whether it's on the Facebook Live, direct through SRB Radio. Thanks ever so much once again. Thank you to Curtis Woodhouse for being our special guest this evening. Thanks to you, Mr. Brown, for being on Technical Knobs, and the poorly Mr. Fun. The poorly Mr. Fun. Thank you. I do hope your Appreciation Society gets at least a 3 by next Monday.
It'd be nice.
It'd be nice. Thanks, guys. Do take care. Keep right to the end of the road. Keep smiling, and keep believing. Next week's a big one.
Good night.
They're gonna give us what we're longing for. It's Birmingham forever. Let's hear it from the stand. So come on, city.